or at least in this case, not a race coverage, but practice and qualifying coverage at Sonoma Raceway this afternoon. Just a couple of minutes into the current practice session. Of course, group practices going on this weekend as we usually see throughout the course of the season. 25 minutes for Group A, 25 minutes for Group B, and then we will have a combined time session for qualifying again later, just like we saw last week in Chicago, and just like we saw in the earlier couple road course races we've had this season in Mexico City and Circuit of the Americas. Thanks for everybody tuning in here this afternoon. A couple minutes, slight delay. I was finishing up my lunch. I got off of work a little bit late and able to get here on time, obviously, and ready for the race coverage for today. Of course, with the Xfinity Series race later, and again, this stream coverage as well. So, of the drivers that are on the racetrack right now, William Byron has set the fastest lap currently. Trying to get the raw feed up and running on NASCAR.com, and there isn't anything that I can show you guys for live timing and scoring. There we go. Okay, now it's updated. Once I said something, then, you know, everything comes into fruition finally. Daniel Suarez at the top of the speed chart, so he just topped quickest. Byron, I believe, had his quickest lap on lap 3. He has completed 4 laps so far. So again, just a couple of laps into practice. Haven't missed much. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And of the drivers that are on the racetrack right now, we have 19 of them that have made a lap for Group 1. Daniel Suarez is the quickest. Then you got William Byron second, Ty Dillon third, Austin Cindric fourth, and Eric Jones rounding out the top 5 and 5th. Michael McDowell, in 6th, Carson Hocevar 7th, Josh Berry 8th, Brad Keselowski 9th, and Bubba Wallace rounds out the top 10. Daniel Suarez, former winner at Sonoma 2022, got his first career NASCAR Cup win. And it was announced within the most recent weeks that he will not be returning to Trackhouse Racing next season. So he is driving for a ride, and still something to fight for this year, which is a race win, because that is probably what he's going to need to get into the playoffs in his current point standing situation. And obviously, being at a track he's won before, we'll see how it can go for him. His teammate, Shane Van Gisbergen, with 2 wins on road course races in the last month in Mexico City, and then last week on the street course in Chicago. Chastain already had a win from earlier in the season as well, so he would be the last of the Trackhouse trio that is trying to get themselves into the playoffs. Eric Jones having a huge surge of momentum lately. He was over 120 points below the cutoff line just 5 weeks ago, and now he is just within 1 full race worth of points out of that cutoff spot. And you can see the points battle, both for the regular season championship and the bubble line for the playoffs, scrolling at the top of the screen. Got to get the chat up on my phone so I can see you guys. See who's all here. Give the shout outs per usual. Michael McDowell did have a spin in the early going of practice within the first lap or two. No damage on his race car. Just finding the limit really is what it's looking like for the 71. JoJo Rebel Soul, Bam Hall, Patrick Chatterley. Divine Skies, thanks for tuning in. Tyler Burbeck, welcome to the stream. Going to be at Sonoma Raceway today and tomorrow. Awesome, man. Have fun. Thanks for tuning in. Predict that a below the cut line winner for the Cup race. Bold prediction. I think the big talking point for this weekend obviously has to be Shane Van Gisbergen. Can anybody beat Shane Van Gisbergen on a road course? We have seen him race at COTA earlier this year. He had a great run, finished in the top 10. But he didn't win the race, and he wasn't really in contention for the race win for much of that event. Christopher Bell, William Byron had him beat. Kyle Busch led a lot of laps away. He pretty much had him beat as well. Chase Elliott was quick that day. That was a road course that was not necessarily new to the Cup Series. We've been racing there for what was this year, the 5th race at Circuit of the Americas. Now we go to Sonoma, a track where we've seen pretty much every driver in the NASCAR field has quite a few laps here. SVG does not have a cup start at Sonoma, so I'm curious to see what he can do in practice and qualifying. He does have extra track time this weekend. He is running the Xfinity Series race. He did qualify on the pole for that yesterday and was very quick in practice on the Xfinity side yesterday, but now it's time for the cup side, and we shall see. And he did win the Xfinity Series race at Sonoma last year as well. So he has been to Sonoma before, just not in a cup car until this weekend. Is the first time that he's turned laps in a cup car in wine country. I do have some pretty severe weather coming my way. I do want to foreshadow that right now. The wind is picking up outside. I was just able to beat the storm home. But if I lose power at any point in time during the stream, or I freeze up on stream and you're like, oh, what happened to the stream? Just letting you know that the power probably went out. I'm hoping that that doesn't happen, obviously, because I want to be able to bring the stream for you guys here, but just letting you know that there's just a huge wall of storms coming. I think it's going to basically come in and leave within about a half hour, but it's going to be pretty heavy stuff in the Northwest Ohio area. STL Mark, thanks for tuning in. Suarez going to prove Trackhouse wrong by winning Sonoma. I mean, he would definitely be proving people wrong. Like I said already, this is a track he's won at before. And he does have a win on a road course in the year 2025, which obviously came in Mexico City in the Xfinity Series race. He's ran well to a certain extent on the road courses for Cup this season, but he hasn't been anywhere near race winning speed throughout the course of those races. So he's going to have to take a big step up if he's going to want to compete for a win this weekend. T-Van, also welcome to the stream. Lights are kind of dim on my end. I got to turn another light on. 13 and a half minutes to go in Group 1 practice. Things are flying by quickly here at the Sonoma Raceway, and I'll let you listen into the TNT broadcast booth for a bit. Dale Jr., Steve Letarte, Adam Alexander, of course, on the call.
And we mentioned a ton of elevations, some great corners. I mean, the areas I'm looking at are the passing zones. I think sort of towards the passing zone. I think over here in the 7 of the passing zone. And then Dale, I think probably the most signatures down here into his hair, and that's where you're going to see kind of the passes try to take place. Then you basically spend the entire lap from 7, 8, 9, and 10 to set up that pass in turn 11. That's where you really want to make things happen. But you mentioned elevation. Turn 10 the lowest, turn 3A the highest. What does that mean? What's 174 feet look like? This is a great piece right here. So we're at the bottom of the racetrack down at turn 10. We're just going to go vertically up to give you an idea of just how much elevation climb that is. Yeah, you let the car, you let the hill slow the car down up through turn 1 and turns 2. And then you kind of go back downhill a little bit into turn 3, drive that car down into the banking, and then up over turn 3A. You always kind of come up out of the seat over this hill at the highest elevation of the racetrack.
What a perspective.
One other thing that we perhaps didn't mention the first is at every road course, we don't go back and forth to the start finish line because to try to reduce laps and make it more efficient. It's an ultimate stuff.
Ricky Atkins, thanks for the $5 super chat. Love oval racing, but Sonoma is okay. I love Watkins Glen. Only 2 road courses is enough. I will say, I don't mind the diversity in the schedule. And I've talked about this before on the channel as far as, what it takes to win a championship in the top level of stock car racing. I think diversity in the schedule, improving, throughout the course of the season to perform well at all disciplines of racing. And I really think that the schedule is oversaturated with road courses with the number we have now. I think 5 to 6 is a good number because that's something I threw out in the early days of the channel when we still only had 3 road courses, or actually now I think about it, I think they were going to Road America and COTA for the first time, 2021. So they just had 5 on the schedule, and I thought that that's a good number. I do think they have to space them out more on the schedule. I feel like there's more of an oversaturation of it because all of them are in the summer months of the season, except for COTA. COTA's early in the year in the spring, 3rd race of the season. That's a good spot for it. I think they need to space them out a little bit. Like, we literally are going to back-to-back road course races with the street course last week, Sonoma this week. We had Mexico City just 3 weeks before that. 5 weeks, 3 road races. That's a lot. Watkins Glen is only about a month away, so we're going to have another one here in the summer as well. I do think 5 to 6 is good. You could have, one a month. That's every 3 to 4 weeks. And not even every 3 to 4 season, points-wise. And that's not even counting the exhibition races as well. So if you want to count 38 weeks of NASCAR racing, if you have 5 to 6 road courses in there, I don't think that that's bad as long as you space them out a little bit more than what they have. Climate-wise, there are only certain times of the year you can run certain road courses. Like a Watkins Glen, that has to be in the summer. Upstate New York, brutal kind of long winters. Early winters, I guess, if you were to race there more in the fall time. So that has to fall in the summer. Sonoma Raceway, they could easily move up into the spring. Like Fox only has one road course on their portion of the schedule. And then in the weeks that we have TNT and Prime for 10 weeks, we have 3 of them. Those could definitely be spaced out more. Like if we had 2 on the Fox schedule and then 1 to 2 of them, like 1 on TNT, 1 on Prime, and then basically 1 on the NBC side of the schedule, I think that'd be pretty evenly spaced out. That's why I didn't mind them running a dirt race on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule too. What I did mind is the fact that it was at Bristol, because I like Bristol the way it is. Give me traditional old half-mile concrete oval Bristol, and I'll eat that up. Even in recent years where the racing hasn't been as good because of the next-gen car, I still love Bristol. It's my favorite track since I was a kid. One of my favorite tracks to attend a race. And putting dirt on it, it didn't sit well with me, but the idea of having the Cup Series race a dirt race at a traditional dirt track, the trucks were going to Eldora for a really long time. I would say try to do a Cup race at Eldora. I think we're too far gone from that just because we have had 2 seasons now without a dirt race in any of the top 3 levels of NASCAR, so that might be something of the past, unfortunately. But if they decide to go to Eldora in the middle of the summer, I'm here for it. I'm not just saying that because I live in the state of Ohio either. I'm saying that because that track worked well for the Truck Series for over a decade. And then after COVID, they just stopped going there. And it could definitely hold a Cup attendance. They've added temporary seating there every time the Kings Royal for the World of Outlaws goes through, and they get 30 to 40,000 people in the stands. I mean, that's about how many people go to a Darlington race. Phoenix, I know, is kind of lower capacity. I think they only have about 40,000. 40,000 at Eldora can work. They have the parking available for that. I wanted to get to that super chat because I saw that there, so I'll unmute the TV audio side of things so you can listen into, again, Dale Jr., Steve Letarte, and Adam Alexander.
He led all those laps at the beginning of the Chicago Street Course race, got up in front of Shane Van Gisbergen, and that run table. Great incident, really. I mean, took him out of contention. So he comes in here with confidence. He tweeted out this week, guys. Look, last week was just a preview, saying we absolutely had the car beat, and we have it again this week. He came in with that confidence. I asked him, it's hard to get the pole. He says, look, remember last week, Shane Van Gisbergen got the first one. We can absolutely do that again. 5th on the way. Was off track a little earlier. Very happy with the car. I would say confident, but a little chip on the shoulder too.
Yeah. Little comment that Group 1, they just feel the track would be better except for wide stuff. Look at this curve use. This comment great. Now it's going to use that curve. Why am I not surprised? He is the aggressor.
It's like they're going to commercial again, so I guess I'll unmute it. Yeah, to go back to the road course sentiment, because that's been obviously a talking point. We're at a road course again this weekend. I know the chat's talking about it, so I'll be communicative with you guys on my opinions for it. I mentioned already like 5 to 6. My personal opinion, obviously, you got to keep Sonoma and Watkins Glen on the schedule. They've been mainstays since the 80s for both of them being on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. For that reason alone, a long-time tradition of the Cup Series running there, far before even their boom period. I think you have to stay at those 2 tracks. I would ditch the Roval, go back to the Charlotte Oval if you are going to have 2 races at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I think an international date out of Mexico or a Canada is fine. I think that could be one of the dates that you end up intertwining with one another. One year you go to Montreal, the next year you go to Mexico City. And I think that that's something that could work. They'll probably sell a lot of tickets year over year in both markets. We saw that even a couple weeks ago with Mexico City, that they had a really great turnout that weekend. And I was expecting that because even for the standalone Busch Series races back in the day, they would sell out. So I would keep going to those markets, have the international date on there. We don't necessarily have to go overseas for logistical purposes. That'd be tough to do during the course of the season. So keep it within North America. Honestly, Circuit of the Americas has put on some pretty good races for the NASCAR Cup Series, and I know they don't have a long tenure there, but the 5 years that we've had races there, I can't really think of a dud off the top of my head. This season had a pretty good race. Kyle Busch trying to hold on to the end. Christopher Bell getting by him. There was a great battle between Bell and Byron in the final 3-4 laps of that race. Even the battle between Busch and Bell for about a lap and a half there in the closing stretch was pretty good. Ross Chastain having the on-track incident with Alex Bowman and AJ Allmendinger back in 2022. The first race there was just wild because we got to see NASCAR racing in the rain for the first time, and it was another monsoon throughout the course of the race. I do think the NASCAR races that we have had at COTA have been good, and I think that's a track that NASCAR should probably try to stay at. It's a good market for racing with Formula One racing there on a year-over-year basis. I think as long as they're racing there, I feel like NASCAR should race there too. And even when they go away, if they ever did end up going away from Circuit of the Americas on the F1 side of things, I think that we can end up seeing something with NASCAR even better there. They would probably get more of a turnout because fans in that area that do like auto racing only have one chance to be able to see any sort of a race throughout the year. I guess IndyCar races there too, but one less chance to see a race there throughout the course of the season. So I do think NASCAR should stay there and then rotate to street course, and you got your 5 road courses still. I think like I said, the number we have right now, if you ditch the Roval, would take us from 6 to 5 and just space them out on the schedule more. You know, you keep Watkins Glen in the summer for logistical purposes of having to run that in a more warmer climate. So we had a car go off track a couple of minutes ago, by the way. So if you're wondering why we're under caution on screen, we had a spin. It's at the top of the hill through the Esses. Bubba Wallace ended up going for a spin, and then Brad Keselowski soon spun out after him. Probably a lot of that dust and dirt all over the racetrack, so NASCAR's going to take a second to clean that area of the track so we don't have any more cars going off course on a consistent basis. And I'm not sure if this is going to end Group 1 practice or if they're going to give them a couple more minutes yet, because we only have about 3.5 minutes to go in Group 1. Santiago Kit, thanks for tuning in as well. Yeah, five road course races is fine for me. Space them out. You know, we could have COTA early March like we did, 3rd race of the season. Good spot for it. Instead of having like 3 months before you get to the next road course on the schedule, maybe go a month and a half. And instead of having back-to-back like we do with the street course race in Chicago, if we end up having a street course in another market, I'm all for them keeping a street course on the schedule, space it out from Sonoma. Sonoma is one of those tracks that probably could get bumped up to the springtime for weather purposes. I mean, they're basically racing in a desert during the summertime because it's so dry. I would like to think that that's a race that we could have earlier in the year than when we have it. No, Rockingham's asphalt. Used to go to Rockingham for both races each year. Yeah, that'd be great to see if they had, Rockingham to the schedule. As far as scheduling goes, I've always been a big believer that each track should only have one date as it is as well. we could reach more markets by only going to one particular race. There's quite a few tracks on the schedule that do have the 2 dates that the attendance doesn't look as great as tracks that have one. For instance, I've gone to Michigan International Speedway 10 times now throughout my life. It's by far the track I've been to the most times. It's my home track. And they had 2 races a year there for the longest time. Now, I didn't start going to races till 2015. But just seeing the attendance, and the last couple of years I was there for both races in 2018, both races in 2019, the attendance was way down for both of those races compared to what it's been in the 4 years we've had since the post-COVID era, from 2021 through 2025. I mean, it's been darn near sold out the last couple of years, and I think only having one date has a lot to do with that. It didn't look sold out on the Monday races the last 2 years, but I can tell you on the Sunday before, the grandstands were packed. Obviously, not everybody necessarily showed up the next day. You got work. I guess they wouldn't have school that time of the year because it'd be in the summer, but people got their normal lives to go to. A lot of the camping, they plan on camping through Monday, but they can't stay necessarily all day Monday. But yeah, my ideal schedule, there's no reason to really have to go to Las Vegas twice. The attendance isn't great for both of them. I don't think fans are going to be too happy if we only had one Talladega race, but at the same time, I got to be fair to everybody. That's why when we do the gaming stuff on the channel, I do my custom schedule seasons. I try to only have like one date at each track, and I do all the fantasy tracks in between. Nice plug for that. They did give, they meaning NASCAR, NASCAR did give the teams a couple extra minutes of practice, so we had 3.5 minutes to go when the caution came out for having to clean the track in the Esses area, turns 1 through 3. Carson Hocevar going around out of turn 11 in the final minute of practice. And he was well off the exit of the corner. That's that hairpin down at the bottom of the racetrack before you start working your way back to the start-finish line. He was able to save the race car. He kind of spun off into the desolate area in the infield there. Now gets himself back on the racetrack again. Showing a replay to see exactly what happened. That's very strange. He didn't hit the wall. Car just slipped out from underneath him. There's no damage on the car like he would have made contact with anything before that. That was very odd. We don't see that very often, especially in that area of the track, as far off the exit of the turn as he was. But now time has expired. There was no caution for the Hocevar spin because he did spin off of the racetrack as much as he did. Shahir Gaming, thanks for tuning in. Frederico Sanchez, welcome to the stream. The Auto Club closed. Your home track is Sonoma. Yeah, I guess by technicality, that would be the case, unfortunately for you. Hopefully they reopen at some point down the line. I don't have my my high hopes on that, but for your sake, hopefully they do. Keep Sonoma, Watkins Glen, rotate the other road courses. Just attending Sonoma. Holding up to no Riverside International Raceway, SoCal in the 80s. Same awesome feeling from Sonoma. Emogene Blevins, thanks for tuning in. Michael McDowell, possibly fast to win this Sunday. I mean, he put up a good fight with Shane Van Gisbergen last weekend in Chicago. So there's definitely something there. His speed overall, he was 5th quickest in this practice session. I do think there will be other drivers that could compete at Sonoma that we didn't see necessarily competing at Chicago. There were a lot of heavy hitters in that Chicago race that had to start at the back of the pack because of any sort of on-track incident that took place during qualifying and practice the day before. And because of how short the race was, where you could make it on fuel on just one pit stop, it was going to be hard for them to actually cycle their way forward. Look at Denny Hamlin for an instance. Finished in 4th place. He was really nowhere to be found the whole day. Slowly, methodically moved his way through the field, but it took him the entire race to get to 4th because of how short the race was. William Byron started at the back. Chase Elliott started at the back. Those are really good road course racers. Bubba Wallace started at the back. He did get his way up into the top 8 at some point before obviously ended up feuding with Alex Bowman on track and ended up with a spin and wrecked out of it. But there were fast cars that started at the tail end of the field that I think could have made things more interesting at the front in the battle for a potential race win. I think, Chase Elliott and William Byron definitely could have had something. We'll never know if that would have been the case or not because they just never had track position the entire day. So if they're able to qualify well today, say Van Gisbergen qualifies on the pole and there's more heavy hitters up there at the front of the field for the start of the race, they could run the same strategy as him, especially if they're drivers that already have wins this season. They don't have to stay out for the stage points at the end of each stage. That will keep things more competitive, on top of the fact that I think it's already going to be more competitive because we've seen NASCAR racing at Sonoma for a long time, and Shane Van Gisbergen has never had a Cup start here. That is a hot take. Daytona to end the season. I don't mind a super speedway closing out the season if we didn't have the current points format we have. With a one race championship, I don't like that. But if we have like some sort of a points-based merit system with the crowning of the champion, I honestly don't mind a super speedway being the final race if you have a couple of guys that are in points battle contention for the championship, because it's not a situation where luck necessarily determines whether you win the championship or not. Yes, you could get caught up in the big one, theoretically speaking, but because you don't have to necessarily go for the win, there's other strategies to be put into place to ensure that, hey, I'm going to get a top 5 day out of this, or I'm going to get a top 10 day, especially with stage points on the line now. It's like, hey, go hard early, bank on the stage points, stay out of trouble late, try to guarantee that like top 20 spot. I think there could be a lot of fun in that. Personally. I don't like it for a one race championship necessarily, but if it just so happened to where we're crowning a champion through the playoffs, even if we have a playoff format based on consistency in points throughout the course of the entire thing, I wouldn't mind a super speedway closing the season out. Just not with the current format. I wouldn't necessarily condone it. Man, if they move the championship back to Atlanta with its current state, though, oh boy, I'm all in for that. As long as again we don't have the current format that we have for awarding a champion, because then that would turn disasters real quick. I'd almost argue stage racing in general would probably better equip a super speedway championship if it wasn't a one race take all kind of deal where you have to score points throughout the course of the race. I think it'd be fun. No super speedway to end the season under the current championships. Yeah, exactly. They would have to change the points format for me to want that. Like, for instance, if we had a full, 36 race season, consistency matters, it doesn't matter where you put the super speedways at that point, because every race is basically deemed an equal to one another. So if you put the final race of the season on a super speedway, it works just the same as if we started the year with the Daytona 500. For traditional sake, the 500 would be the race that starts the season. It's the biggest race of the year. But to crown a champion on a super speedway at the end of the season, when everything is basically the same, regardless of the year, I mean, your fate can be just as decided on a Daytona or Talladega race at that point on the last race of the year, race 36, just as much as it determines your fate at race 29 or race, 18 throughout the middle of the season, where they would run Daytona a lot back in the day. At that point, it would just all equate to the same thing. So, but yeah, like I said, under the current points format that we have right now, I wouldn't condone it. Need to reward top 10 finishes more. I mean, to make it a point of emphasis on the stat sheet, that's where the consistency side of things go. I don't think like bonus points for finishing in the top 10. I'm all for bonus points depending on what you do for that bonus point metric, but I don't want too many different things to kind of convolute like bonus points throughout the course of the race. Like, I don't think we need to have stage racing and bonus points for laps led. I feel like it would have to be one or the other, and I honestly don't mind the stage racing the way it is. As long as you get rid of the stage cautions, I think that's perfect, honestly. I think if NASCAR had not implemented stage cautions with the stage racing era, I think a lot of fans would probably like it more than what they would have now. Because now it alters the race to an extent where you're guaranteed a caution, so it changes the strategy of literally every race from what it would have been beforehand. The thing that I don't like about it personally either, not only a dummies down strategy, but it also, you go to racetracks like this at Sonoma, I thought the idea in the merit system of having stage racing is to reward a driver for running well throughout the course of the race. So let's say you have a DNF for a mechanical issue or you get caught up in a wreck late. You had a solid points day still because you won the first two stages of the race. You were leading a bunch of laps throughout the course of the event. So you can kind of fall back on a good day gone bad. But if you're sacrificing stage points to ultimately hopefully win the race, by the end, then we're not rewarding the stage points to the most consistent drivers throughout the course of the race as we would have otherwise. So that's why I personally don't like the stages on road courses, because you're getting the cautions. And we didn't see that as much when they did do away with the cautions on road courses. For that brief moment in time that they did have that, was that either last year or the year before? For the regular season races, they didn't have cautions at the end of the stages on the road course side of things. And I thought that was fine, because then drivers who qualified well earned the ability to be able to score their points throughout the course of the race and compete for the win, were able to do so, and you wouldn't have to sacrifice one or the other. Ronnie Packman, thanks for tuning in. Please talk about more what's going on in practice. There's nothing going on at the moment. We're in a cool down period, actually, between practice group number 1 and practice group number 2. I don't think they had the track fully cleaned off from the caution that they had following the Bubba Wallace and Brad Keselowski spins in the S's, so they're currently cleaning the racetrack, and then group 2 will hit the track soon. Daniel Suarez was the quickest in group 1, and then we have Byron, Gregson, Cindric, and McDowell rounding out our current top 5. A lot of the bigger names set to begin Group 2 practice shortly. It looks like they're just going to green right now, so that's like perfect timing for that. They're still on a commercial break on my end on TNT, but when they come back, I'll let you listen into the race coverage. We had a talking point there. I had a super chat to get through, and then we had a big kind of cool down period anyway, so I try to engage more with the chat when there isn't green flag action going on. Earl Arnold Jr., thanks for tuning in. Feel about the 88 and the 11 starting top 10. SVG, I mean, he should qualify well. I don't know about Denny Hamlin, though. Last week was kind of a surprise that he finished as well as he did because he has not been great at all on the road courses with the next gen.
Rankings here specifically, McDowell, Busher, Reddick, Dinger, Suarez are all on that list, and you add Ty Gibbs, who has yet to win, and I don't think he would shock anybody if he pulled off a win.
It is funny though. We were watching that during the break, and you watch that tape, and you see the Indy road course, and you're like, okay. And then you see McDowell
Yeah.
before, and like some of the paint schemes, it's fun to go back and look. Here's Reddick, so good years, a season ago, won a stage, led a bunch of laps, and he'll be a player tomorrow, I'm sure.
Saw that 14 races before that, so he's thankful to see these road courses got to this part of the season. Won the pole at Coda, 8th at Sonoma in 2024. 3 road course wins in the next gen. Definitely a guy we're going to have our eye on. And he was sitting there in a situation at Chicago. I think the last 2 years, he said, I'm going to do opportunities to try to close in on wins at Chicago. And the job done. We're right there on the verge. And 2311 needs a win. They need something to be happy about. I think this is the week to be improved. And I just feel like I look back at Cole Custer is team lap. His last lap number one was his fastest. I think some of that's getting used to the racetrack, but I just think the track, like Mark or Jamie says, NASCAR is dusty. It's a bunch of things, and I think it's going to keep getting better. I think the Screw will be faster overall. And then sequentially, the racetrack is really, really slick, and that's where all the lap times going. And you see all of that. It's painted on the racetrack. It's literally just rushed onto the track and prick it out, buckets, flip it out on the track, and they just mop it around the racetrack. Down in the corners, they're trying to, you see right there, they're trying to preserve the age of the asphalt over the course of years. And it really makes the track slick. We used to do this at Richmond all the time. And if you look back at the article during the years when they would put this sealer down on Richmond, the drivers would scream in frustration over how slick the track was and how treacherous it was. So I think that's where all the lap time is going. They will wear that sealer away over the course of the next several races here. I need to get a little bit better, but for now it's going to be a handful. Now that I've said that, no, it was but I'm looking up Suarez, Bella fastest so far in third, Blaney right here.
It's jumped up there to 7th. This we're seeing on track now. Talk about Blaney. This has been a good track for him in recent years.
Track good week. Him and his wife announced that they're expecting. So congratulations to Blaney Ramlin.
What's more exciting? Father Ryan or Grandpa Dave? I don't know, but the anticipation for both.
Well, so I asked him today. So Ryan's sister has a couple kids. So Grandpa Dave went one for his wife. It'll be the first grandchild. So that dad, I can't wait.
That's
so
right.
Congratulations
That's right.
to the whole thing. Riding on board Christopher Bell here, third in the playoff standings. Trying to put some laps down on this racetrack. He's finished 16th or worse in 4 of the last 5 races, trying to sort of reclaim that speed and pace and performance that they had at the start of the season. Down clear in the turn 11 here. Or through the gears toward the flat store. So he's talking rear grab, top of the board, big shocker. SVG jumps to P1.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, I know. No one had any idea. New name at the road course. That's unreal.
Gibbs went to second. We talked about all those drivers that have won on a road course next gen that could win this weekend. Gibbs hasn't won, but you could put his name on that list too. They were riding with Bell, and he's gonna make his TV debut in the booth later today. I think it's his debut. I've never worked with him on the Xfinity.
Debut was you in the booth. I
That's
like
right,
it.
yeah. Sonoma.
You announced it, and it wasn't one.
That's right. We just hold on at 4 o'clock Eastern today. CW. All the Dinger just went to the top. That means second on the board. Shane Van Gisbergen, most recent winner. Starts on the pole in that Xfinity race later today.
You'll see this, you'll see SVG have good speed here. I don't expect him to be quite as clear of the field like he might have been in Chicago or Mexico City because all of the Cup regulars have so many laps here. So that advantage is a little bit less. And you see Gibbs and Allmendinger sort of matching or bettering his lap time. You see what he gets right here. We'll go off the start finish line. LaPrie's a little bit in the 1:16.30, but still third on the court. Chastain down at 1:16.39. And you see how dirty, the racetrack's going to get in turn 11. It's dusty off of the edge, turn 10. And even if the cars just get mixed to the dirt, they draw a ton of that dirt on the racetrack. I'm right on board with around on the 16 car of AJ Allmendinger as he goes down the hill into turn 9. This goes back to your point of experience, the SVG conversation, right? Is look at Allmendinger, 16 flat. That's some great speed. You mentioned the dirt. A lot of places around the racetrack where you see it. And this is exiting 10. They get on the curb and then the curb ends. Well, no, I take that back. Briscoe just went completely over the curb. I thought he was going to just drive off the end of the curb. He drove off the whole curb to the left. But you get away with it, right? The problem is we have seen some massive impacts to the left side of that curb in turn 10. That is a fast sweeping area.
Well, that makes us the track. What makes us going to watch Briscoe this week here? They've been good, having a good year, won at Pocono. Hasn't been as good here, but that 19 team with Mark Truex Jr. has always been so good for him. So I'm curious to see how those two worlds collide and match up this week. Talked about Ty Gibbs. There he is, second on the board.
Coming up the hill. Yeah, I think you get really get power down in this car. You kind of want to do anything that doesn't upset the car, and so you'll see him even avoid that curve. Yeah, right there. We used to climb over that curve in the old cars. Can't do it anymore with these cars because it's set up.
Look at this. A little curve. Zane Smith getting air. He's at 11th on the board in practice. Group 2 on track.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs has been great on the last couple of road course races with Mexico City, having a great car. Kind of fell back on strategy in that one. That's why he resulted in a finish just outside the top 10, but he scored a lot of stage points that day and was really one of the few drivers at any point in time, particularly in the wet in the first half of the race that day, to keeping up with Shane Van Gisbergen. Then you fast forward last week, has another top 5 run, scores quite a few stage points, and he's all of a sudden starting to claw himself back into the playoff picture as well. That'll be a good segue into talking about that while they're on a commercial break currently. We'll go over the full regular season and playoff standings. Very tight battle for the playoffs. We'll go over that first. 143 points to the good for Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman plus 39, plus 35 for Chris Buescher, and only plus 2 for Bubba Wallace. They're the last 4 in. 12 drivers have won a race so far this season, locking themselves into the playoffs. So we have 3 drivers with 3 wins, 1 with 2, and then 7 of them with 1 win on the year. The 3 wins are Larson, Hamlin, Bell. The 2 wins, Shane Van Gisbergen, and then 1 win apiece for William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry, Chase Elliott, and Ross Chastain. I mentioned the 4 drivers above the cutoff line already. We scroll down the list a little bit. The drivers who are just on the outside looking in, Ryan Preece only 2 points below that cutoff line on Bubba Wallace. Very tight battle coming into this weekend. AJ Allmendinger, who is in the top of the speed charts right now in practice, is minus 43. Ty Gibbs, who I just mentioned a little bit ago, minus 66. He's just over 1 full race worth of points out. The impressive thing for Gibbs, he was outside the top 30 in points with no top 10s through the first 10 races of the season. He has been on an utter hot streak throughout the summer months, and he's scratching and clawing his way back into a deficit that we didn't think he was going to be able to overcome on points. Now, all of a sudden, it's not impossible. We still have 6 races to go in the regular season even after this weekend. So, translating the speed on the road courses to the ovals, he's had some good finishes with the ovals. Michigan even was a great race for him a few weeks back. He had a top 10 run. He was very fast at Pocono, so I would imagine the speed there would translate to Indianapolis. We've got another trip to Watkins Glen as far as the road courses are concerned, and obviously tomorrow at Sonoma. I think Ty Gibbs can get himself into contention. He's got the equipment at JGR to get it done. He pointed his way into the playoffs last year. We'll see if he can do it 2 years in a row. The other drivers outside the cut line in between where Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger are at. Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, minus 46 and minus 50. Jones was another driver who has come from a very big points deficit. He was about 120 points back 6 weeks ago. Now he's minus 50 within one race worth, and mathematically could be inside the cutoff line after tomorrow if all things go well for him and catches a little bit of luck with where other drivers obviously in front of him finish as well. But Eric Jones, he's doing a great job. Legacy Motor Club getting those good, consistent finishes. We'll see if he can continue on. Jamie McMurray, Shannon Spake have caught up with Michael McDowell throughout the practice session, and you'll get to listen into that interview.
This last year, and with this new tire, it kind of caught us all off guard. You know, speeds are pretty different than what we had last year. Grip level's different, so it took a few shots at trying to get the balance and the height just right. But we rebounded well. Obviously, going into qualifying here, track seems to be picking up a little bit of pace, maybe taking some rubber. So it's changing pretty quickly here, and you got to stay on top of it.
Turn 2, we just saw Ty Gibb run off there. We saw you have an off-track moment. A lot of guys. Is that the scene? What do you guys feel?
You know, it definitely caught me off guard. I went up there and it was a little dirty, like somebody pulled some dirt. But as you crest the hill, it just took off. You had no indication that you were going to lose it. So I think as you keep pulling that dirt over onto that curb and that sealant, it's just really slick up there and the cars are light. Where last year we had a little bit of full in general as we crest that hill. So even in turn 10, the 47 went off in front of me, truck some dirt, and it was a big moment. So I feel like right now it's trending like that old Sonoma, where you just want more grip, you want more drive, and you're going to have to take care of it. Where last year you were hustling so hard.
You brought up an interesting point. This used to be like just eat all the curb you could. I think in the community they were using as much yesterday as the moment. Is that because of the relay? Like, what's caused you guys not to be so aggressive there?
Well, I think this next gen car in general just needs stiffer, and the way that it takes the curve, you can't use it all up because you actually get on the floor and you'll high center a little bit. So you can't climb it quite as much, but as the pace drops off, you still start to run up it. But you can get kind of hung on the top of it. So, and as you know, downforce still matters, and you don't want to do anything to hurt the floor on these things. So you're a little bit cautious and timid when it comes to that. Hey, McDowell. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll jump in. So McDowell's Letard up in the booth with Dale and Adam. Look, bring me the qualifying then. If it's slicker, you had nothing, no notice in 3A. We know what that means for Sunday, but how about this afternoon? How aggressive can you be in trying to just put the lap down? Yeah, you still got to close your eyes and go for it. Hope it's thick. These cars in general, you can hustle them so hard for one lap. So you still got to push yourself really hard. You got to push yourself further than you want to go. And qualifying always matters.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know how well you know Steve Letard. He will work his way in to any conversation. He's not even here, and he has somehow worked his way into our combo.
Hey, Steve, is that a good strategy? Just close your eyes and go for it? That, crew chief's looking on that.
That's Jamie. He sat on multiple poles here. With his eyes closed the one time he went off at turn 1, like, I don't know.
Everybody's in the media. Everybody.
Real impressive.
I will say this. It appears that Robin and Bowman have ended their issues. What you see with Letard and McMurray is real. You know what I mean? This is a real ride.
Oh, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Wow. Hopefully the eyes are only closed maybe halfway through the lap, and not like Jamie did when he went on the
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys, take it away from the loud pin area. It's all yours.
What?
You see Larson going into pit entry there. There's no pit road speed limit to that yellow line. So, that's something I always found challenging is trying to hustle a car around the entry pit road. So watch Chase Elliott. Let's listen to the spot limit of the 9 car.
So 2 on 1, 3A, transition to 3B, got left and coming down the all left. Yeah, it's just stood up and flipped, out of the stick. Right again.
I love that information, and that's helpful because, when you got a car that's doing everything to the left or okay to the right, you as a crew chief, Steve, can make an adjustment and help me there. It might hurt me a little bit on the right-handers, but if I say I'm losing off of the left, I can make the adjustment that will improve a ton of corners on this racetrack.
What about it, Marty?
Yeah, and the further comment on that from Chase Elliott to Alan Gustafson was, I just don't have anything to lean on. And then Steve Allen asked him, how much of this do you think is our car? And how much of this is the track that has changed? Michael McDowell was mentioning that a moment ago, but it's really, Steve, for the crew chiefs, a target they're chasing, and they kind of caught everybody off guard in this practice session.
Yeah, we talk a lot about preparation. You can prep a lot of things, loading on the car, but the surface and the adjustment, it's just a little bit of a guess until you show up. And this night, the back of it looks relatively compliant. Like it's kind of, squatting down when he changes each direction. The back looks a little compliant, which I think would help them down on a low grip racetrack or even more on a long run.
Well, there's more right-hand turns, right? And so some teams may come here and actually spring the car or set the car up to and turn right better than the left because you have more right-hand turns. And so maybe there's a little spring split in the back of the car, a bit more left rear spring to help that car turn right, and they can even that back out a little bit to help him in these left-handers. Spotlight now showing the 5-lap average. You talk about the balance on tires tomorrow, but you got to have some over the long haul if you're going to be good here at all in that category as well.
8.5 minutes to go in Group 2 practice as TNT cuts to commercial. We'll go through the full leaderboard and where your favorite Cup Series drivers are running via of their top speeds in this session. AJ Allmendinger fastest overall, and his best lap was a 75.95, an average lap speed of 94.325 miles per hour. He's only ran 9 laps so far in this current session. Ty Gibbs is second, Shane Van Gisbergen third, Ross Chastain fourth, and Kyle Larson rounds out our top 5. Christopher Bell in 6th, Ryan Blaney 7th, and then the top driver from Group 1, who is Daniel Suarez, is in 8th. Tyler Reddick is 9th. John Henry Nemechek rounds out the top 10. The second highest from the first group of cars was William Byron. He is 11th overall. Then Zane Smith 12th, Joey Logano 13th, Chase Briscoe 14th, and Chase Elliott 15th. 16th through 20th as Chris Buescher, and 16th Ryan Preece 17th, Kyle Busch 18th, Noah Gragson 19th, and Austin Cindric in 20th. Alex Bowman 21st, Michael McDowell 22nd, Ty Dillon 23rd, Denny Hamlin 24th, and Brad Keselowski 25th. Eric Jones 26th, Bubba Wallace 27th, Carson Hocevar 28th, Josh Berry 29th, and Cole Custer 30th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 31st, Todd Gillen 32nd, Austin Dillon 33rd, Riley Herbst 34th, Justin Haley 35th, Cody Ware 36th, and Catherine Legg 37th. Legg is the only non-charter entry for this week. Live Fast Motorsports number 78. She finished 19th in Chicago last week, ran that race, so back-to-back weeks we'll be seeing her. We had 41 cars on the entry list last weekend. One driver had to go home. That was Corey Heim. And then as far as this week goes, again, only the one non-chartered entry, so we got 37 cars, on the grid for tomorrow's race. Qualifying will be on this stream. You won't have to go anywhere, and that will be post-practice. There will be a cool-down period, probably about 15 to 20 minutes or so. We'll do a NASCAR Sporkle trivia quiz, Sonoma-based, in between the downtime of practice and qualifying, which will be in about another 8 minutes from now. We'll take our first break of the stream. For the meantime, you're listening live on Brett Whiteside, Zach H., thanks for tuning in. Who else we got in the chat? Wade, appreciate you watching. Duddlebug5, and many others. If I didn't shout you guys out throughout the course of the stream, I do greatly appreciate you tuning in. We get as many people in the chat as we do during these live commentary streams. It is tough to keep up with all of you, but thank you all for watching. Ricky Atkins, again, thanks for that $5 super chat again. Want to make sure I give you that shout out for that also. In-season tournament continues on through tomorrow. We'll talk more about that in the pre-race for tomorrow's live commentary stream. We will begin our live commentary stream at Sonoma for the race at 3 p.m. Eastern. So again, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and we still got NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage later on today at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, about 2 hours from now. I do plan on doing a NASCAR 08 stream before the Cup race tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, or at least as soon as I can go live. It might be closer to 12:45, whenever I can get home from work tomorrow, because I'm working until noon. And I will do a NASCAR 08 race at Daytona. It'll be the Pepsi 400. And then we'll have live commentary immediately after that. We'll roll into our normal pre-race coverage. Less than 5 minutes to go in practice. Alex Bowman currently on camera and on track. Looking to pick up on the speed charts as he's outside the top 20 overall right now.
That remain all winless in 2025, and five of the eight have never won in their career. It's remarkable how it's played out. Look at Bowman, though. Good road racer, a little bit of a sleeper. And, there's Blake calling the shots on the box. But the one thing I would say about Bowman, look what he's been able to do since he had the big crash in Michigan. Top 10 3 of the 4 weeks, plus 39 over the turn line. Been a very confident response to a challenging situation.
And I don't think of him as like a road racing expert. He's got 7 top 10s in the last 11 road course races, and including top 10s in the last 3. And the win, Chicago. I now, look at him at the cut line, and I think these are the kind of tracks where he can put himself in a better position, not try to come here and maintain. He actually come to the road courses and get the result.
From the 48 to the 88, Shane Van Gisbergen third in practice speaking. Just under 4 minutes to go for us, too. How about our most recent winner out?
Well, everything going according to plan in this practice session, getting a long run in, 15 laps, fastest of the 10-lap average right now. Shane Van Gisbergen's done a lot. He has never raced a next-gen cup car here, but he has tested. He ran a real force test last year with Chevy. His crew chief, Stephen Doran, told me he was able to get a lot of good practice laps there, so everything good. And Reed McDowell Jr. in saying that the competition will be much closer this week. They feel with all the laps the field has at a place like Sonoma, it shouldn't be as easy as it looked last week in Chicago, right here in Sonoma with all the laps the competition has. But they wanted to get this long run in, and they're doing just that. Fastest on the 10-lap average. Everyone expecting Shane Van Gisbergen to be the threat again tomorrow.
Saw him having a little bit of a tough time on the braking zone for turn 7. Back on sliding around, braking zone. But Denny Hamlin's trying to keep pace here to learn everything that he can. Watch this 88 over the hill, climbs up.
Oh, wow.
He's high siding the car right there. I'm sure he intend on making that early of a turn in. What was Denny thinking? Paul would be like, Denny don't think there's every lap, right? Denny's like track's dirty.
Just go out and follow the 88. Okay, don't follow the 88, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
We had that 10-lap average in there. It's an interesting mix. Larson, someone we haven't, discussed. Talk about those drivers that have won in the next car on a road course that have not won this year. Chris Buescher didn't get the finish he deserved last week. Had a great car and dealt with a mechanical issue, soldiered through. And despite all of that, still exited Chicago plus 35 on the cut line and let your feet do the work here at Sonoma. Huh?
We won't see him doing the heel and toe technique or using a clutch like SVG, but this guy knows how to get around the racetrack on these road courses. That's the best average finish and 20 road course starts in the next gen, leading all drivers. Also 15 top 10s in the next gen road courses. Again, leading all drivers. Best average finish at Sonoma with a 3.0. The next gen here. A big return spring right there, Dale. That's a cool looking, right? Yeah. So if you see the top of the brake pedal is going to go up, right? So this is the top of the brake pedal is connected to that rod, and then on that rod is that return spring. Just making sure. I wonder, so drivers, like you see how his foot even rests on the pedal, right? So you want that return spring to be strong enough that like when your foot isn't hydraulically applying a little brakes, not because it's slowing the car down, but it doesn't let the brakes cool. When you get off the brakes, you want the pads to get off from the discs and like get some air around them because there are just not a lot of straightaways here. So this is a track where it's easy to just, the brakes never kind of get a breath. Yeah. Great story about Dale Jarrett in the IROC series at Daytona one time. Off the draft, I'm standing on pit road watching the race happen. And Signori, who were the general manager and owner of the IROC series, says, "Look at Dale Jarrett's brake, or look at his wheels when he comes by. He has brake dust on the front wheel because of his foot resting on the brake pedal, dragging brake unknowingly, slowing the car down." At this time, so this is going to go. You're watching on the pit road. It seems straightforward, but Dale, you talked about the time. Speed doesn't start to all the way around the corners. If you see the red, maybe we could follow the 17. I don't know if they'll do it at speed or not, but he's going to come through 10 here. He's going to head to the left side of this wall, getting into 11, and then he comes all the way around here. Dale, still no pit red speed, right? So this is at speed or as fast as he dares go. Yeah, all the way to right here at this line. So that can get very dirty, nasty around that bend.
and you find yourself in trouble there, you don't want to hit the barrier.
Yeah, there's been incidences coming to pit road in the past here at Sonoma Raceway. Definitely a very tricky pit road to get onto. And a lot of cars having issues in this practice session, most of which were in Group 1 and not in Group 2. Fastest 10 times. We'll go through that real quick. AJ Allmendinger, fastest overall. Ty Gibbs, second. Shane Van Gisbergen, third. Ross Chastain, fourth. Kyle Larson in fifth. Christopher Bell, sixth. Ryan Blaney, seventh. Daniel Suarez, who was fastest in Group 1, is eighth overall. And then Tyler Reddick, ninth. John Hunter Nemechek, Legacy Motor Club, showing out again this weekend. He rounds out the top 10. We'll also take a look at our lap average sheet. Fastest 5-lap average was It was not Shane Van Gisbergen. It was AJ Allmendinger who had the fastest 5-lap average. 10 and 15-lap average fastest was Shane Van Gisbergen. There we go. That's what I was trying to spit out the first time, but I was wrong. Not everybody necessarily made a 15-plus lap run. A lot of the cars in Group 1 did not make a run of 10-plus laps because there was a caution on the racetrack in their session. No cautions for incident took place in Group 2's practice session, so a lot of drivers were able to run from start of the 25-minute time session to the very end and were able to utilize the most laps they could to make a long run because I'm tuning in. Shout outs to you guys as well. We're going to do some NASCAR Sporkle trivia to bypass our downtime between practice and qualifying for today's stream. This quiz, anybody who has ever finished in the top 10 at Sonoma Raceway. I did a quiz like this at Chicagoland last week and we got 100%. Now, Chicagoland Raceway only went back to 2001, so it was a little easier for me. It was literally my entire lifetime. This is going to be harder because this goes from 1989 up to, I believe, 2018 was the cutoff. Yeah, 2018. So this does not include 19 through 2024, but 2018 and all the way back in reverse to 1989. We'll see if we can get the top score that we can. 300. We're probably not going to get a perfect score on this one. 20 minutes, though. We do have a little bit more time than we did last week, and we'll see. You could play along in the chat. We'll see how this is going to go for myself. Former winners first. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. Juan Pablo Montoya has a win here. Who else has a win? Ricky Rudd. I think Rusty Wallace has won here before. Yep. Let's see here. Mark Martin has a win here. Who else has won at Sonoma? Look at the years that I've maybe missed. I did put Montoya already. Let's see here. 2011. Edwards. Shoot. Well, I mean, he was on the list, but Jimmy Johnson. I haven't named Jimmy Johnson yet. Or I did. Did I name Jimmy Johnson? Yeah, I did. Okay, never mind. It's confusing. Casey Kane. He's won here before. Ernie Irvin, I believe, has a win at Sonoma. Yep, 1992 and 94. Harry Gann ever win here? No, but he is in the top 10. Jamie McMurray didn't win here, but he was really good. I mentioned about Daniel Suarez winning here before, but it only goes 2017, 2018. He is not on the list. See if William Byron's on the list. No. Kyle Larson. No. Ryan Blaney. Okay, Ryan Blaney's on here. Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski. Even though he's not good at Sonoma, I believe he's got to be on here at least a couple times. He's had a long career. Not many, though. Brian Vickers had some good runs here. 2012, he finished in 4th. At Kenseth. Greg Biffle. Not great road racers, either one of those two, but Ryan Newman. Now I'm just throwing out random names at this point. Yeah, Kyle Busch, of course. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of him. Kurt Busch on the list as well. Denny Hamlin ever win here? I don't think he did. I don't think he's won here. Clearly, I haven't gotten all my notes ready for the Cup Series yet, so this is also making this quiz a little bit tougher for me. Gosh, 2018, who won? Oh, Truex, that's right. Truex has won here a few times. All right. It's a little bit better now. 2012. I know Ambrose has a one here, but he's definitely in the top 10 a bunch. Boris said, I'm sure, is on the list a bunch. Ron Fellows. Scott Pruitt, is he on here? Yep. Labonte. Terry ever went here before? No, he did not. Okay. But Terry and Bobby are on the list. The Burts. Ward and Jeff, both on the list. Sterling Marlin. There you go. You know, Paul Menard is a pretty halfway decent road course racer. I'm sure he's on here. Clint Boyer, former winner. Oh, dang. It hurts. Steve Park, yeah, former winner. Hold on a second. Steve Park not show up on the list? Steve Park did not show up when I typed in Park. So. Oh, he went at Watkins Glen, not Sonoma. My bad. I'm surprised he's not on the list for any top 10s, though. Actually, I have all but one name in 2001. Why can't I remember who won 2017 at Sonoma? Harvick. There we go. All right. Thank you, chat. Caleb Adams bailing me out there. My gosh. All right, Allison. I apologize for that flub. I'm not on my A game clearly for this quiz today. You guys are bailing me out. Kyle Petty on here at all? Yep. Lake Speed? Ooh, let's go. I'll put Hornish. Yeah, he's on here. I saw that in the chat. Pearson's not going to be on here. Yeah. 1989 was the first race. I didn't put Earnhardt yet, did I? Oh, there we go. Junior and senior. Mike Skinner was a halfway decent road course racer. Oh, well, apparently not. Never mind. I take that back. He's not on the list. Forget I said that. Mike Bliss. That was so random. Scott Riggs? Jeremy Mayfield? Okay, Jeremy's on here a few times. Casey Atwood? No, that's too random. AJ Allmendinger. Oh my gosh. The Dinger. Got 240 at 300 already. I do have Rudd. I do not have Elliott yet. Bill and Chase got 247. There's some other road course ringers I'm missing. I put Ron Fellows on here. Boris said. Pappas? Probably not. No. Jimmy Spencer. Ricky Craven, I know, is not on here. Never mind. Forget I was saying that. John Andretti. All right. Okay, that's a good one. Think of guys that like barely ran in NASCAR. Dario Franchitti, did he for some reason get a top 10 at Sonoma? No. What about Patrick Carpentier? No. Jeff Green. Jeff Green's on the list, 2002. Robbie Gordon would have popped up when I put Jeff Gordon already, so. Same last name. Almirola. And one more for 2018. And he wasn't racing yet. Bowman? Alex Bowman. There we go. All right. Got 2018. We've got every year from 2010 to 2018. So 2010s are locked up. I got 10th place in 2009. I haven't put Elliott Sadler's name on the list. There we go. We got a few more. We got 260 to 300. We got 40 names to go. Doing good. Runner up to Kyle Busch in 2008. David Rudiman ever get a top 10? I think I spelled his name wrong. No, I had it right. I had it right. Michael McDowell. Is he on here? Wow, that's shocking. This only goes to 2018, obviously, but still. Danica Patrick? Perhaps. No. She's not. We already got the 2010s. We already got the 2010s. Kenny Schrader. Boom. That gave us 6 more. 266 at 300. Morgan Shepherd. Boom. 2 more. I did put Scott Pruitt on here already. I forgot to mention him when I was going through road course ringers. Appreciate everybody, Ricky Bobby in the chat. Quapple? No. It's a good poll. We got 09. 2008 runner-up. Tried him already. J.J. Yaley. Casey Mears. Ooh, there we go. 30 to go. I got 2 more. It was a runner-up, but Casey Mears was 5th in 08. Try Reed Sorensen. Strummy. Tony Raines. No. I do have Boyer. I do have Fellows. Busher wasn't around then. David Gilliland. David Gilliland was runner-up. There we go. Wow, what a great run for David Gilliland that day, 2008. 2005, we're missing 5th and 10th. And then 2000 on back. So let's try to focus more on the 90s. Rick Mast. I haven't named him yet. There we go. Top 10. Think of 90s to 2000 NASCAR. And then I'll circle back to 2005 later, but we got to knock out a few more of these 90s. Qualifying has just begun, and I mean like just begun. So time session, we'll obviously get into that here in a second as we're wrapping up our quiz. Jerry Nadeau, oh yes. Johnny Benson on here at all? No. What about Chad Little? No. Ted Musgrave. Ted Musgrave's on the list. 90s NASCAR. Did I put Jimmy Spencer yet? Maybe, I don't know. Alan Kulwicki. Not on the list. Bobby Hamilton? All right. Runner-up in 98. Dallenbach. Wally. He's on here a few times. 279 of 300. We got 7 minutes to go. 21 names. Yeah, I've got Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray. We're thinking more 90s right now. Tim Richmond is probably on the list. No, a little bit before his time. 89 was the first race here. Bodine. Yeah, 286 at 300. It's better than I thought I was going to do. Less than 7 minutes. Catherine Legg, by the way, is skipping out on qualifying, apparently, for Group 1. So she'll be starting in last, 37th. Dick Trickle? No. Kenny Irwin. Okay. That won. 1998. I've got Irvin, Martin, Richmond. I've got all the former winners. Oh, Dale Earnhardt won here in 95. I didn't even realize he won at Sonoma. I've got Shepard. I've got Lake Speed. Antonio Garcia. I don't even... That would have been a deep pull that I would not have known. I did try Brendan Gaughan already for the 2005. Yeah, there are a couple names from 2005 we're missing. Actually, yeah, 5th and 10th. But outside of 2005, everything is from the year 2000 and before that. Neil Bonnet. Not on here. You're thinking of Al Mirola? I've already got him. I do have Kenny Schrader. I don't think I see anybody in the chat that I haven't put on the list yet. Andy Lally. I missed that. I was thinking maybe 2005. I'll put Johnny Sauter real quick. It didn't pop up either. Sprague. Nothing. I don't know who that is. Brian Simo? I've never heard of that man in my life. He's on here once. I'm trying to find the year because I've never heard of him. Oh, that was 2005. I would have never came up with that. Brian Simo in 2005 finished in the top 10. I really hope you didn't Google that. Was IMSA. I've never heard of that guy's name in my life. He had a top 10 in Sonoma in 2005. It's insane to me, too, because I was around at that time. But I was young. I would have been 6. I've been 6 years old. Kenny Wallace. I do not think he is on the list. I put Rusty Wallace already, and if they have the same last name, it would have shown up. We only have 3 minutes, 12 names to go. Tried Biffle. I doubt David Starr's on here. He's barely made any cup starts. Larry Foyt? Maybe. No. That was worth a try. Dale Jarrett. How did I not put Dale Jarrett on the list yet? Well, that got me 4 more. That would have been a big one skipped. I would have felt bad for myself, honestly. 8 to go. Kenny Habul? No. I did not put Joe Nemechek yet. But he's not on the list. Yeah, he's not on the list. I did not put him. Am I spelling it wrong? Okay, no. What year's 89 to present day? Well, 2018. That's when the cutoff on this was, but Dale Jarrett was the other one in 2005. So we have every year from 1999 on. 10th place in 98, and then the inaugural race in 89. So obviously there's a couple years in there too. 93, 90. Don't have any names for those. PJ Jones is not on the list. Got the Allisons. Yeah, I don't. I got the Labanis. I tried Johnny Benson. He didn't pop up on here. Steve Grissom. All right, Steve Grissom. Robert Presley. He came in clutch for me last week, but not this week. Yeah, I'm stumped. Yeah, first race in Sonoma was 89. Before that, they were racing at Riverside out in California, so 89 was the first race. Appreciate everybody playing along. We've got less than a minute to go. We'll get into our normally scheduled programming, obviously with the practice and qualifying, doing this Sonoma quiz on the cool down. It's 7 names. I've already got Irvin. Dave Marcus on here at all? No, he's not. No, this was after his time, so that he's not going to pop up either. Rick Wilson, Joe Ruttman, Bobby Hillen Jr., Hut Strickland. Who's Irv Hoare? Did I say that right? Hoerr. I've never heard of that man in my life. Who is that guy? That's it. I mean, that's all we missed. We only had 5 names that we left off the list. Got 98% out of the average score of 82, so we crushed it. Thank you for playing along. I don't know who that guy is that finished 8th in 1990. Irv Hoare. It must have been it might be like Hoyer. Hoare. I don't know how to say that guy's name. No, not that kind of. Not that kind. I've never heard of that guy. We would have been at 299, and never in my life would I have picked that up. That might be a first for any of these NASCAR lists that name has popped up. Yeah, nice job, team. Nice job. All right, on to qualifying. NASCAR Cup Series. We wrapped up practice earlier on the stream. We have 2 different groups of qualifying, just like we did last weekend at Chicago. It is a timed session, so you can make a lap at any point in time during the 20 minutes given to each group. We have 7 minutes to go, so in the first 13 minutes, Daniel Suarez currently has the fastest time in qualifying. And these times will intertwine with everybody who goes out at Group 2, and that will set the starting lineup. So currently, Daniel Suarez and William Byron will be first and second. Michael McDowell is third. Austin Cindric 4th. Ty Dillon is 5th. Then Noah Gragson 6th. Brad Keselowski 7th. Austin Dillon 8th. And now they drop back a bit. Carson Hocevar just jumped up to 3rd. That was the newcomer on this list. So Hocevar, who was 14th after running a lap earlier in this time session, goes back out again. He is now up to 3rd. So great improvement there. And he qualified top 5 last weekend at Chicago. So he could probably get a good starting spot tomorrow as well. Obviously, being in 3rd right now is huge. So 9th and 10th are Keselowski, Austin Dillon, 11th is currently Cole Custer. 12th is Riley Herbst. Eric Jones 13th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 14th. Bubba Wallace 15th. And Todd Gilliland, Justin Haley, Cody Ware 16th, 17th, 18th. Catherine Legg 19th has not made a lap. And I don't know that she will for qualifying. Hoer only made 7 NASCAR starts, so that's why I didn't get him. That's insane. 1992 IMSA GTO champ. You learn something new every day. I've never heard of that man in my life. Appreciate the facts and the stats down in the chat. Rick Wilson in 89. Somebody mentioned Rick Wilson. Reamsey, thanks for tuning in. I did not see your comment in the chat. If you put that in there before the quiz was over, I apologize. I missed that. I'm going back through the chat, and that's the only name that I see on here that I missed. That would have been on the list, because he was there. Appreciate everybody for playing along again. Sporkle trivia in the books, practice in the books, qualifying ongoing. We still got 4.5 minutes to go for Group 1, and Group 2 will have their 20-minute session very shortly. Your Fast 5 right now, Daniel Suarez, William Byron, Carson Hocevar, Michael McDowell, and Austin Cindric. Justin Haley is back out on the racetrack trying to put some heat in his tires after just leaving pit road. Justin Haley is currently scored in 9th, so trying to pick up a little bit. Ty Dillon's on track right now, trying to put a lap down as well. Dillon is in 7th. Austin Dillon going up against Alex Bowman this week for the in-season tournament. As the round of 8 begins, quarterfinals, only 4 matchups to follow this weekend for that in-season tournament. Don't leave Hocevar off the fantasy team this week. We'll see. I purposely kept him off last week, even though he had speed in practice and qualifying, because I thought that the risk of him getting in a wreck was very high, and then go figure, he proved me right when he got in a wreck on lap 3 or lap 4? I mentioned that in the pre-race, and then didn't take long for him to prove me correct. There's a lot more runoff area at Sonoma, though, so I don't think that that's going to happen. I just automatically assumed with the tight confines at Chicago that he would be the most likely guy to overdrive the car and make a mistake and crash out, and go figure that he did it so early in the race. It's actually quite comical, just because I had mentioned that. I'm telling you, I know my NASCAR, and I watch these guys every week, and, you know, we can kind of diagnose things from one week to the next. And there's some things that are on the stat sheet that you can't find, like that. And that was more opinionated as to why I kept him off my fantasy team last week, but I made the right call. Again, shout out to anybody, David Cowboy and many others that were playing along. The Shiznit. Thanks for tuning in. Caleb Adams, Shane Robinson, Michael Caldwell, H. Holly D, Usurp 2, NASCAR Info and News, Sean Finns 13, and many others. Again, if I missed you, Andrew Tyson. Appreciate everybody watching. So Daniel Suarez is back out on the racetrack again. He's trying to put down a better lap than what he did on his first one. We have less than 90 seconds to go in Group 1 qualifying. Nobody's tracking in the green right now to try to put down a lap that would top Daniel Suarez, but knowing that we have a whole second half of the field that has yet to qualify in the next group, it's another reason why Daniel Suarez is out on the track trying to improve his time. His gap between himself and William Byron for second is about 0.07 of a second. I don't think that Suarez's time is going to hold. I do think we're going to see at least a couple drivers up ahead of him for Group 2. Obviously, Shane Van Gisbergen a threat to go for the pole. AJ Allmendinger was fastest in practice. Ty Gibbs was in the top 3. Those are guys that I can kind of eyeball for Group 2 that have a really good shot of trying to go for the pole and beat Suarez's time. Suarez was the fastest in practice from Group 1, and Byron was second quickest, and those are the top 2 for qualifying as well. Until Brad Keselowski just put a heater in as the time is winding down. 75.624. Keselowski's in second. Just jumped ahead of William Byron. He's right behind Daniel Suarez. Byron is tracking in the green on his next lap. And that could bump Suarez as we are down to no time remaining on the clock. If you started your lap before the clock hit 0, you can finish the lap that you were on. So that is what William Byron is trying to do right now. And he's the only one tracking in the green, and it's by quite a bit. Half a second faster than Daniel Suarez. Great lap by William Byron. 75.025. That's the fastest lap that we have seen today. Practice or qualifying. And that is going to be a lap that is going to be very tough to beat. And Byron, who started at the tail end of the field last week in Chicago, needs a good run this weekend. He's been bleeding points the last several weeks. He had an 82-point lead 3 weeks ago in the regular season standings, and now it's only 13 points to Chase Elliott in second. And there's quite a few drivers within one race worth of points of each other for that regular season battle. I believe the top 5 mathematically could take the points lead after tomorrow's race in Sonoma. 61 points is the most points you could score in a single race. Byron's up by 13 over Chase Elliott, 19 over Kyle Larson, 43 over Denny Hamlin, and 48 over Tyler Reddick. I'm not going to count Christopher Bell or Ryan Blaney out. They're minus 67 and 93, but they're going to have to go on a hot streak and going to need some help along the way, which so far they've been getting help because, again, William Byron has been struggling. Best finish is 27th for Byron in the last 4 races. Larson in this group? No, he'll be in Group 2. Gus Lightning, thanks for tuning in. Tim Fowler, welcome. Never heard of Rick Wilson. I've heard of Rick Wilson based off of the trivia that we have done before. It's just one of those names that I just never remember for the life of me when we do quizzes like that. We'll do one more quiz tomorrow on our pre-race. But as far as this stream goes, Group 1 of qualifying just wrapped up. Group 2 will begin shortly. Michael McDowell off track spinning twice today. Now puts his car in the top 3 in qualifying. Yep. Yeah, second for Michael McDowell, also right after the time expired, much like William Byron. McDowell's second. 75.408, but almost 0.4 off of Byron's top time. Well, I mentioned a couple guys were going to beat Daniel Suarez's time in Group 2. That might still be the case, but at the end of Group 1, we still had a couple of drivers put together some fast enough laps to top him. So our current front row, again, is William Byron, Michael McDowell. And we still have 18 cars that will be in Group 2, and they will have 20 minutes to put a lap down to try to top the current best. William Byron at the top of that speed chart, then Michael McDowell is second, Daniel Suarez third, Brad Keselowski fourth, Carson Hocevar is fifth, Austin Cindric sixth, Josh Berry seventh, Ty Dillon eighth, ninth for Cole Custer, Riley Herbst 10th, then Justin Haley in 11th, Bubba Wallace 12th, 13th Eric Jones, 14th Noah Gragson, Austin Dillon 15th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 16th, Ty Gilliland 17th, Cody Ware 18th, Catherine Legg 19th, and she did not make a lap, so she'll be automatically starting back in 37th out of the 37 cars that will participate in tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Save Mart 350. Qualifying continues here on KRC. We'll take a quick break as our live coverage continues.
Big foot, big shoes, heavy foot out there in
Yeah.
qualifying session number one. What did you see besides obviously that car being very fast?
Well, I would be nervous if I was in the first group right now because based on the fact of how fast Brad went right at the end and then the heater that we saw William Byron lay down, I think the track has either gotten faster or it's gotten clean, and that's why it's gotten faster. So I think we're going to see some incredible lap times. And you learn. We talked about the guy staying out for more than one lap. When you know that mentally, it's a little bit different as a driver.
What do you I mean? You heard Steve Letarte say he thinks there's going to be fireworks in this second session. What do you think?
Fireworks. That's
big,
a
I wrote that down.
wow. That's a big statement by Steve. I hope we see plenty of fireworks, Shannon.
All right, Marty, down there with one of the guys who might be part of that fireworks show. Take it away.
I think he's going to be on the sidelines watching the fireworks show. Let's chat with William Byron. Man, the theme of the day has been how different the track is compared to last year. How is it different, William?
Oh, so different. I mean, just I don't really think it's the pavement per se. I think it's just the tires not really adhering to the surface. And that was the same way last week too, kind of getting going in practice. So made some adjustments there. Felt really good about honestly just really good about my car there in qualifying. Just felt like I could push really hard and had grip and we just kept running more laps and kept getting faster. So you never know how it's going to stack up with Group 2. Obviously, those guys, there's going to be some really fast guys in there. So hopefully we can just be top 6 or 7 and go race from there. So just really happy with the day.
Is it helpless now to watch Group 2?
It's better being on top. I've been in the middle and it's like, oh, you're not going to be in a good spot. So, yeah, it's better being where we are, and I think I might just close my eyes.
The funny part, Alan, is that he told Rudy Fugle before they went out that second time, I know I can get more out of the car. Well, he found it.
And that's what Daniel Suarez was hoping for, going out once again. But P3 in Group 1, all we're hearing from drivers is how slick it is out there. What was it like for you?
Definitely very slick. I have a lot of flashbacks from the old Sonoma. You know, when the racer had less grip and it was more sliding and managed your tires a little bit. We won with old Sonoma, so I'm happy with it. The car actually feels pretty good. The guys have done a great job. I feel like qualifying, my second lap was always better than the first lap. But for some reason, the second stint, a couple cars were able to go faster, and I wasn't able to gain that speed again. So maybe I've used my tires a little bit, especially the rear tires. But overall, I'm happy with the car. I feel like I have something to play with for tomorrow.
All right, Daniel Suarez has won here before. A win could turn his season around, Shannon.
Sure could, Alan. So we're hearing similar things from all of these
Well,
guys.
yeah, it's different. I mean, like you just listened to Suarez, and he's like, I went back out and I couldn't go as fast. So it makes me think now that maybe Brad and Byron were able to make an adjustment to their car that made it better. That seems like a pretty big pickup for those guys. Byron, that's the worst position ever to be in. To sit there. It's like a 20 minutes of hell waiting to see if someone can beat you.
Well, at least it's going to be fun for us to watch, right, Adam?
I think it's going to be incredibly entertaining, and I'm with Letarte. A week removed from the 4th of July, but we will have fireworks in Group 2. So Byron's the quickest. Where is his over-under in the starting position after Group 2 hits the track and finishes things up?
I think he would be super pleased if he started inside the top 5. I could get 4 or 5 of these drivers that have a better track and just what they ran in practice. I think they're going to eclipse Byron's mark. And it starts to be in question, but I think 4 and 5 for sure are going to outrun with the 24 car. Now, unfortunately, Michael McDowell, who sits second currently, there's 4 tenths of a second between him and Byron. That's a lot of room for some drivers to kind of slide in between them and push McDowell. Probably, I'd be shocked if McDowell ends up in the top 10.
So I was going to say 10 to 12.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably see a lot more cars take advantage of track time earlier in this session, knowing that they watch that first session. A lot of times people go out later, come in, cool off, go out later, and run faster. We don't want to wait too long. Look at the lockup right there. Like 20 cars.
I was just going to ask if you would throw away lap 1 to tires get better, but he answered the question for me with locked up that he's in full lock up again. Right kind of misses the mark a little.
It sure did.
And the other thing was that had a lot of cars off track today. We saw the moment in Ty Dillon in waiting to delay in the clock. You're on, and either everything's going well, someone goes off, caution cuts out. Now, everything is on.
Man, he's sliding around right there up the hill. Back of the car, surely. Rear tires.
Nothing comfortable about that.
Yeah, he misses 3 a little bit right there. He's sliding down into the bottom right corner. Just pushing really, really hard. And he'll find, I guess, as we watch the first group, that this will all improve. Second lap, third lap. He gets to run more laps. all this should improve. Multiple cars should gain. It appears that the new tire, the sticker tire, and the sealer on the racetrack, not a great combination. Once you get about 2 or 3 laps on the tire, it really starts to get a little bit more trustworthy. On the finish, come right there. And let's say right front gets a flat spot and find that flat spot in the next braking zone and the next braking zone. You see that car starting to slip that tire more and more. AJ Allmendinger in the 16th right here.
That went to fourth. Here's Allmendinger up to third. Looking at the tracker. Mel's teammate Ty Gibbs in the green. Start to lap 2 for Allmendinger. Seth Gibbs, a lot of money in the bank down there.
It's a little back. It's just so finicky. They're so close to the moment. 54 wins coming through turn 4. No longer in the green, so he's giving it back. Must be a good course 7 combination for Byron. It's been second lap again, so this would be the faster lap. We might compete completely wrong on the Byron lap. Maybe so he was like I said, top 5's gonna be a great run. So far, he's been able to pick off every attacker.
Yes. Hamlin had jumped up inside the top 5. He's now 5th.
Chase Elliott is on a really good lap right here, hitting the turn 7. Got there in the braking zone. He gave up a little bit right there, back in 7, and went from right on top of the lap time. He needed to a couple tenths down in 4th.
Zane Smith went to 5th. 15:29 for him.
A really good job by Zane.
Chastain was good in practice. And here he is. Pretty good shape. The ultimate finish line. Chastain to 2nd. 6/100ths behind the fast lap of William Byron. 3 Chevys at the top right now.
3 Chevys at the top. And this is Toyota right here. Currently on a bit of a flyer in the green. Just pressed it 2. Now he's down into that 3 combination over the hill in the.
I'm going to state, I was going to scroll down the leaderboard to see how qualifying is updated on our screen, and I think it did this last week at Chicago, if I remember correctly as well. But with the 2 groups of qualifying being split up, for some reason, I can't get both of them on the same screen. So it's got round 2 of qualifying, as you see right here, or group 2. But all the group 1 times are non-existent on this list. So, for instance, our top time is still William Byron, but it shows Ross Chastain as position number 1 because Chastain has so far put down the quickest lap of those in Group 2. So, everything you see on our screen right now, that's just the top of who's on the track currently in Group 2, but there's no intertwining leaderboard. So, when we do get to the end of qualifying and they have the starting lineup on TNT, I'll have to read it off verbally for you guys, but visually you're not going to be able to see anything on screen for ourselves on the channel right now. Practice or qualifying? This is qualifying currently. AJ Allmendinger was fastest in practice earlier. AJ's currently 3rd overall in qualifying. William Byron's top time of a 75.025 continues. So, as you see, Chastain's fastest lap, 75.087, was 2nd. And now we've got a new leader, Shane Van Gisbergen. Right as I was talking about it. Chase Briscoe, really quick as well. They both ran 74s. And those were the 2 that were fighting for the pole last weekend in Chicago amongst one another. They locked out the front row with SVG on the pole and Chase Briscoe second. So Chase Briscoe ends up having a pretty solid lap. Not as good as SVG's, though. SVG, though, 74.833 has the fastest lap. And a 74.844 for Briscoe. 11 1,000ths of a difference. The difference between first and second. I like that Alex Bowman was following Shane Van Gisbergen on his qualifying lap. Trying to figure out where he's braking and do the same. I think Bowman's going to have a pretty big pickup on his lap. 7th. Yep. Great pickup. He was outside the top 20 in practice, so he needed that. He's been struggling for speed so far today. So Shane Van Gisbergen and Chase Briscoe are now first and second as we have about 11 minutes to go in qualifying. And this is the second group, so this will be it. These are the drivers all going for the pole. Current top 10, Shane Van Gisbergen is first, Chase Briscoe second, then William Byron third, Ross Chastain fourth, AJ Allmendinger fifth, Ty Gibbs sixth, Tyler Reddick seventh, Ryan Blaney eighth, Alex Bowman ninth, Chase Elliott is 10th. Kyle Larson is currently on track, was 17th on his first lap, so he is working lap number 2 currently. He's a couple tenths off of where SVG was. But with where Larson is currently tracking, he's close to his teammate William Byron for third. Lost a bit of time in turn 4. His car went way wide after hitting the curb on corner exit. Picking a little bit of that time right back up again in the S's. Through the middle portion of it by the time he got out of the S's and on that next kind of longer straightaway back to the alternate timing line. He lost a bit again, but decent lap for Larson, 10th. And he'll pull his car to pit road. Ryan Blaney is on track right now running a second lap. His first lap was a 75.134. That has him 7th. Daniel Suarez, who was third in Group 2, or Group 1, excuse me, third in Group 1 is 17th overall. So a lot of drivers in Group 2, much quicker than the drivers from Group 1, excluding Byron, who is fastest in Group 1, but is third on our speed charts. Michael McDowell, who was second in Group 1, is just outside the top 10 in 13th. Just wrapped up his lap, 8th for Tyler Reddick. I would imagine that the top times you see right now, we're going to see those cars back out on the racetrack before the end of the session. As long as they get to the alternate timing and scoring line, which is right out of the exit of the S's, it's between turns 9 and 10. You get to that point before the clock hits triple zeros, and that next lap will count. But if you fail to get to that line before then the next lap will be disallowed. And we saw some pickups by drivers at the end of Group 1 into Group 2. After already having a heat cycle in their tires, so there might be even more left on the table for not only Shane Van Gisbergen, but others that have put together some pretty fast laps in the second group as well. We'll take our final break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC to NASCAR Cup Series qualifying for the Toyota Save Mart 350. 2 streams still to go this weekend on the live commentary side. Tomorrow's NASCAR Cup race will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern on the channel. We'll begin things off with our pre-race show. And then the NASCAR Xfinity Series race will be later today at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, just over 1 hour from now. We'll be live for that one. So if you haven't gotten your full fix of NASCAR this weekend, there's still more to come. We'll be doing a NASCAR 08 stream tomorrow before the Cup race as well. So doubleheader today, doubleheader tomorrow on the channel. I'll be doing the Pepsi 400 full race before we kickstart our pre-race show to the live commentary stream for the NASCAR Cup race tomorrow. So a lot of content still to cover this weekend for NASCAR at Sonoma. Again, we'll take a quick break. 7.5 minutes to go in qualifying.
The tip there and the tip there and slap it on. You know, it's always easy after. But now I think they're going to question if we waited to the middle of this session. Now, if this would have been earlier, you could have came to pit road and moved your car down. Now with 6 minutes left, maybe they feel it's enough time. I feel like it's $10 eggs this fast, but they just don't have a lot of time to come in and make adjustments.
It is so hard to look at a tracker when the guy you're chasing is Shane Van Gisbergen. You lay those laps down, the tracker's not as friendly, and then it pops up, but it's actually not a really bad landing spot. We'll see where it lands for Freeze. 19.
I hear what you're saying, but look at this. 80, 80, and then some O's. You know, a lot of guys have mentioned it, Dale. You've been really on top of this. That so much experience for the Cup regulars here that SVG's still the favorite, but the gap is closed.
You said it's a bit of a worry. After practice, Alan, what are they saying now?
Well, the hood's still up, you can see there. You don't hear much from Shane Van Gisbergen on the radio at these road courses. It seems like it's clearly by design. Doesn't want to reveal much. He knows what he's doing. The team knows he's the master behind the wheel. We just don't hear much communication. Not even from the spotters. Shane doesn't want anything on the radio when it comes to giving secrets away on these road courses. We'll just have to wait and see if they go out once again, Marty.
Alan, under 6 minutes to go in this session and the game within the game. So a moment ago, Chase Briscoe had his iPad in the car and he was watching his SMT lap compared to Shane Van Gisbergen Jr. I'm assuming he just wants to know, hey, where can I gain a little bit of time versus Shane? Where am I losing a little bit of time? Because that's a second are, you know, sometimes easy, sometimes difficult to find on the racetrack. But that's what Chase Briscoe wanted to see inside the car. He has an iPad in front of him right now, checking out what he can learn, how SUGP. But right now, he just switched over, of course, to the live broadcast. But a moment ago, he was studying SMT.
That's so valuable to the teams, particularly at the road courses, where there's so many turns, so many braking zones, so many ways to go through this, around the racetrack. If you can look at what SVG's doing with the throttle, the brake, steering wheel, you'll absolutely see something, at least one thing, maybe more things that you could go out and try the next time you go make a run. And you might know is what gear he is in certain corners. Is he downshifting all the way to second? Is he staying in third? Is he doing something different through the S's? And a lot of times guys will do less with the gears and actually make up time because they got their hands on the steering wheel. They're driving the car through the S's in certain parts of the racetrack. Sometimes SVG, he's a details guy. He might be doing more with the brakes, more with the more with shifting and downshifting, running a unique gear through a certain part of the racetrack. So pretty valuable for those drivers to be able to look at that stuff and try to pick up on every little thing they can.
Logano, currently 22nd, won the pole here a season ago. One career win on the road for Logano came 10 years ago. Last few years, he's put some really good finishes on the board here at Sonoma. Having two of the last four.
I want to go back to that SMT. While Briscoe's watching it right now, trying to pay a little bit, every single driver in the field is going to be looking at that stuff tonight. Right before they go to bed and get prepared for this race tomorrow. They're going to
Oh, I love that Mobile One paint scheme this week.
and see if there's anything to look and take out of his toolbox.
John Hunter Nemechek.
John Hunter Nemechek was 10 in practice. 6th earlier this year. Mexico City, so we know he's capable of on the road. And his crew chief, Travis Mack, was on the box when Suarez won here in 2022.
Good looking race car.
Sharp, isn't it?
It's not the one scheme always it's pretty cool.
Oh, platform just start reminds me of the 9 where the back just seems to be a little longer flat. He picked up that curving and the back kind of absorbed it. And he meant to be on the curve that much, but it seemed like it nailed it in the curve. So he does here, big curve in the middle of 7 is music or not. It's busy out there now. There's cars everywhere.
We said it was going to be fun to the end when we wrapped Group 1. And it appears that's going to be the case with 2.5 minutes to go. Nemechek, 16. Blaney and Larson both in the green. AJ Allmendinger, quick in practice 5th right now, is back out for Team Collin.
AJ sideways up over turn 2 there. A little bit of dust, the car's getting them off racetrack. Might have missed turn 3 the entire, looks like. But that makes the racetrack dusty and dirty, and it takes more of a grip away. Even if it doesn't, it's the dust and dirt, it's like the racetrack's dirtier. 22 here, I think he just marked here to get out of the way. It's a good call, good smart move by the veteran there.
Well, that would mess with me coming down out of this.
It does, but you also appreciate the fact that he went into his way to be out of the way. A lot of people always don't do those things. Let's see the 22 here. This is the car that went this turn off of 2 entirely there. I think the 38 was there, right? He kind of bailed out to not move the 38. I think something happened there, but probably not very happy to play. That takes a lot of dirt, puts it out on the racetrack, and everybody that goes through there is going to have a little less grip and speed. They only have the racetrack way wide in turn 4 on a really great lap.
Yeah, SVG, as of right now, with less than a minute on the clock, is looking to beat his original fastest lap. Nobody else is tracking in the green compared to SVG's first lap that he put down, but Briscoe is close. Wherever Briscoe's at on the track, he has lost a bit of time. And Shane Van Gisbergen will top his original best time by about 0.2 of a second. 74.594. Ryan Blaney, meanwhile, spins out of turn 4. No contact with the wall for him. Way too wide for Ryan Blaney. Almost looks like he kind of spun the car out, locked it down before he had any ability of hitting that outside wall on corner exit. Tyler Reddick on track. Looks like he's going to pick up from lap 1 to lap 2. He might have a shot at second. He's a few tenths off of Van Gisbergen. The gap between first and second right now is just over 2 tenths. It's actually exactly 2.5 tenths. 0.25 is the difference between first and second. And Reddick did not pick up, surprisingly. 75.176, still his best. I want to see what his second lap was. Second lap was 75.183, so about 7 1,000ths of a second off of the first. Big time pickup, though, for Shane Van Gisbergen. He's going to be on the pole for the second consecutive week. It'll be the third pole of the season, all on the road courses in this summer stretch of Mexico City, Chicago, and Sonoma. All races he has won so far. Obviously, we have to see for Sonoma tomorrow. If he wins the race, he'll be going for the clean sweep again as the Xfinity Series at Sonoma a little bit later on today. We'll get to hear from the pole sitter Shane Van Gisbergen, and then we will go through the starting lineup for tomorrow night's race, excuse me.
Shane, you make it look easy. I know it's not. What was the biggest challenge of your day in that lap?
I'm shaking. That was pretty full on, but I'm stoked to have Red Bull on the car, and thank you to Trackhouse and Chevy. Amazing car. We weren't very good in practice, but new tires fixed it. So yeah, hopefully we can be good in the race. But yeah, what a cool day, and hopefully have a good race this afternoon too.
What do you need tomorrow to be as successful as you were today?
Just a bit more rear grip and a bit better balance. You know, the car's got a bit of everything. So yeah, just tune it up a little bit. But we're in obviously not a bad spot to start.
All right, a huge smile as you would expect from Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole in Sonoma, guys.
How about the fact the front row, Briscoe, Van Gisbergen have combined this?
All right. SVG Chase Briscoe on the front row for tomorrow's race. Obviously, Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole, third time this season, and as mentioned already, all on the road races through the summer months of June and July. Row number 2 will be William Byron and Ross Chastain. Row 3, AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, row 4, and then Alex Bowman and Christopher Bell will round out the top 10 in row 5. Row number 6 is going to end up being Kyle Larson on the inside, Zane Smith on the outside. Row 7, Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Michael McDowell, Denny Hamlin, row 8, Kyle Busch, John Henry Nemechek, row 9. Then in row 10, Daniel Suarez and Ryan Preece. Row 11, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Carson Hocevar, Austin Cindric in row 12. Row 13, Josh Berry, Ty Dillon. Behind them in row 14, Cole Custer, Riley Herbst. And then row 15, Justin Haley and Bubba Wallace. And rounding out the field at the back half now, row number 16, we will have Eric Jones and Noah Gragson, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., row 17, Todd Gillen, Cody Ware, row 18, Catherine Legg in row number 19. She did not participate in qualifying, but she will round out the 37-car field for tomorrow's Save Mart 350 at Sonoma. So congratulations once again to Shane Van Gisbergen qualifying on the pole, and good luck to him for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race coming up in a little bit. 4:30 p.m. Eastern, we will go live for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race today at Sonoma Raceway, and we'll be live obviously tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup race again at 3 p.m. Eastern on the channel. Hope to see you for then. Appreciate everybody tuning in throughout the course of today's live commentary content. Be sure to leave a like. Helps these streams out a ton. Our like goal usually is 50 for these live commentary streams for Cup practice and qualifying, and we are at 70 currently. We've had about 200 people in the chat there as qualifying was rounding up, so be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more NASCAR content like this. Every NASCAR race weekend, we have daily NASCAR content on the channel. Live commentary streams for Cup practice qualifying, Xfinity, truck, and Cup races every weekend for races that don't attend in person. And here we are, yet again, on another race weekend. We will cover more in the pre-race as far as the Cup side tomorrow. Xfinity racing coming up at the bottom of the next hour. See you soon, everyone.